Or I was born in San Francisco. I grew up in the Bay Area. And so for me, it was always, there will never be another quarterback that approaches Joe Montana. He is the GOAT. He is the greatest. And then Tom Brady came along, and now he is the standard by which I judge quarterbacks in terms of their ability to lead and their ability to win championships. But you know what? At the end of the day, you got to do what's right for you. And for me, as I've gotten older, there have been those instances where I said, you know what? Out of respect for this individual, they deserve to do it on their terms. And so be it.
Trotter, you're so wise, man. You're so wise.
I'm not wise. I'm just old.
Hey, there's some people who are old and immature. Some people who are old and they don't have wisdom. And that's a tragedy. All those years and you didn't acquire any wisdom.
I mentioned to you, I have a lot of years in R&B radio. But Howard Hewitt, the lead singer from Shalimar, okay? I was best man at one of his weddings. One of them.
What?
Okay? But yeah, Howard, who sang "This Is for the Lover in You," that was my vocal inspiration right there. And then I spent a lot of years on tour with Rick James, but that's a whole nother story for a whole nother episode.
No, you didn't just bring up Rick James. That was my guy. You were on tour.
I was his tour MC for 6 years during the Street Songs, Give It to Me Baby, Super Freak era.
J.A. Adande, Professor Adande, my friend.
No stories of being on the tour bus with Rick James. So I don't know how you're going to go from that to bringing me here.
I can. I can do that. First of all, you're famous. You're as famous as Rick James because that book behind you is a masterpiece. You edited it. Selection committee, fantastic work. Proud of you. And there's something, you have the stories from 2021. When you move on to the 22-23 version one day, there's a story in 2023. I'm sure it will be written. I don't know who's going to do it. They're going to do a great job on it. They're going to feature Kyrie Irving. They're going to talk about Kyrie Irving in their story, and there's going to be some stuff in there that will blow our minds because that's what Kyrie does. In a sense, Jay, I got to give the brother credit. I got to give Kyrie Irving credit because Kyrie Irving, for those who don't know this yet, but just put it out there, Kyrie Irving has requested a trade. He made the All-Star team, averaging 27 points a game, 5 boards, 5 assists, balling out. And now he wants to be traded. And the Brooklyn Nets, you're on the clock. You got 6 days. You got 6 days to trade Kyrie Irving. Just to let you know. Hey, Kyrie doesn't give a 2 weeks notice, J.A. I'm going to tell you right now, trade me or I'm out. Yeah, you know what that means, right? It's either trade me or I'm not showing up.
And put it out, right? I mean, it gets leaked out there. I don't think the Nets wanted it out there because it immediately lowers their leverage, right? If people know Kyrie wants out, so the leak has to be coming from either Kyrie's side or other teams around the league who are in position to weaken the Nets. The funniest thing to me about this is that the notion that trade him now or he's going to leave, in the offseason. Well, if they wanted him around long term, they could have signed him to an extension last summer. So it's not a threat that, oh my God, we might have to part ways with Kyrie. He was the one that opted back in for the final year of this contract because guess what? There wasn't a group of teams lined up to offer him contract extensions. And this is the exact reason why. Moments, maybe not this specific trade request, but it falls in line with the history of Kyrie Irving. And real quick about selections for Year's Best Sports Writing, there actually was a great story written by Ian O'Connor for the New York Post in which he really delved into sort of trying to understand who is Kyrie Irving, what makes him this way. And it's as good a job as you will see of attempting to understand who he is and what shaped him. But I didn't include it because I wanted a Kyrie-free book. There were so many other great stories to get into. I didn't want to waste any pages or ink on Kyrie Irving.
But you know what? I'm going to flip that around, though, because I want to say, I was thinking about this. I do respect this. There's an aspect of his personality, of his pattern that I respect, and it's something that everybody could use. Every rank and file employee could use in a workplace. Now, he's a rank and file employee who's very wealthy. Okay, he's a rank and file making about $40 million a year. But I know it doesn't match up with somebody down the street at Sunoco. Point is, he is a guy who every step he has been, every place he's been, he has the willingness to tell whoever is around him, hey, this is what I think, whether you agree with it or not, whether you are a peer like LeBron James, whether you're a coach, general manager, ownership in Brooklyn. Hey, Joe Tsai, bruh, who signs my contract, signs my check. I don't agree with you. I think you're wrong. I'm not going to do it that way. And there's something about that spirit that I can't appreciate. I do appreciate it. Doesn't always help the team, but I'll give him credit. You're shaking your head. I'm going to give him credit for his bold spirit. How about that?
Nobody likes the guy who always speaks up in the meetings, who always has something to say. Here's the thing I do appreciate about him.
Some people like it.
Here's what I appreciate about him.
I bet you some of his peers like it, though. I bet you some of his peers appreciate it.
Some of them. Here's what I appreciate is his willingness to speak up on behalf of the women of the WNBA, to make sure that they're supported, to advocate on their behalf. The most recent issue has been the charter flights and the need for them to have better travel accommodations. But, he spoke up to make sure that they were taken care of when they went into the bubble in 2020. So I appreciate that. I appreciate when he speaks up on that. Otherwise, this is not Kyrie Appreciation Hour for sure. And it also gets back to Kevin Durant. And in my mind, the colossal mistake he made in hitching his wagon to Kyrie Irving when he had a pretty good thing going on there in Golden State. It might not have satisfied everything he was looking for in a situation, namely the fact that he would never get the credit and the praise and the love from the fan base as long as Stephen Curry was around. But just attaching yourself to such a volatile, unpredictable, unreliable teammate as Kyrie Irving is depriving us of the greatness, say, of seeing Kevin Durant make deep playoff runs, because if he had a better co-star, we'd be seeing more of Kevin Durant in the postseason.
All right, so I'll say this, and we'll revisit this story later because we got a guest waiting. We're going to talk some football. But the last thing I'll say on this one, for now, about Kyrie, is we will eventually learn why he wants to be traded. And there was some references, Shams had it, Woj had it, some references to a contract extension, no deal was reached, and now he's requested a trade. But Gary, if you can, put that original, that post from Kyrie up that you put up about 2 or 3 minutes ago. I think it comes right back to this. It comes back, if I'm going to guess, and look, it's a guess. We'll find out soon enough. I could be close to it or I could be dead wrong. So he says to his peers, right? Just be yourself and grow. Keep people around you. Keep people around you who, I think he said around you. Oh, I'm editing. Sorry, Jay. Around who celebrate you unconditionally and appreciate all the hard work that gets put in. Distance yourself from the folks who manipulate, hate, and hurt, right? I think this goes back to the owner of the Brooklyn Nets. I think this goes back to Joe Tsai.
Is that a message to Kevin Durant? Distance himself from Kyrie?
Nope. I think it's a message to ownership. I think it goes back to the suspension that they gave him after promoting the film. We spent a lot of time talking about that on Brother from Another and other places. Everybody talked about it. He promoted this film. He would not say, they asked him, are you an anti-Semitic? He said, I know who I am. I can't be anti-Semitic, on and on. And so the Nets said, he's not worthy. You're not worthy of being around. And they suspended him for essentially, was it 8 games, Jay? I think, just off the top of my head, I think it was 8 games. And I think that was it. I think that was a breaking point. I think he still just holds on to that. Like, I'm not feeling it. I'm not feeling y'all.
Who created that situation, right? And the thing is, everything that has gone wrong in his career,
from Kyrie's perspective, they did.
He was playing with LeBron James. Now, in this case, I might give him a break because he probably had the feeling that LeBron James was ready to go to Hollywood, right? So he might have jumped out before LeBron left him. So even though on the outside it seems absurd that you could leave a LeBron James when you have a chance to go to the NBA Finals every year you play alongside him, I will give him that. Gets to Boston, got what he wanted, right? A team where he could be the leader of a team with championship aspirations.
Same thing, though.
That
soured on leadership. He didn't like them. He soured on leadership.
Well, they soured on him. And then they went to the NBA Finals after he was gone. Best thing that could have happened there, right? And then Brooklyn, where it's his situation. Hey, KD, you want to go play with the Knicks? Nah, let's go play with Brooklyn. We can have more say-so over the organization in Brooklyn. Come on with me, KD. Let's go to Brooklyn. Cool. And now he's blowing that up. How many more opportunities how many more franchise is he going to leave with us in the wake? Now, the Celtics rebounded very nicely. Cleveland was not better off for him departing, and the Nets won't be better off for him departing.
He's going to the Lakers. Watch. Hey, he's going to your Lakers. Watch. He's going to LA.
My Lakers. My name is Bus. My last name ain't Bus. Ain't not my Lakers.
To be on the world stage and have two black quarterbacks starting in the Super Bowl, I think it's special. And I've learned more and more about the history of the black quarterback since I've been in this league. And the guys that came before me and Jalen set the stage for this. And now I'm just glad that we can kind of set the stage for guys that are kids that are coming up now.
Yeah, I think it's history. I think it's something that's worthy of being noted, and it is history. You know, it's come a long way. I think there's only been 7 African-American quarterbacks to play in the Super Bowl. So to be the first for some is pretty cool. So I know it'll be a good one.
Whenever a guy like Doug Williams or Michael Vick or Donovan McNabb go out and play great football, it gives other guys like me and Jalen chances to have this platform and have this spot on the an NFL team. And so if we can continue to show that we can consistently be great, I think it'll just continue to open doors for other kids growing up to follow their dreams and be a quarterback of an NFL team. And it's good that we have guys like Jalen on the other side because he's a great person and obviously a great quarterback.
All right, it's the Super Bowl. We're leading up to the Super Bowl. You just heard from Patrick Mahomes and Jalen Hurts talking about the enormity of this moment. First time we've had 2 black quarterbacks in the Super Bowl facing off against one another. They try to put it into perspective, but I think Jason Reed can take it to the next level. He has written about this extensively. He's got a book on it. Jason, good to see you, brother. And can you kind of continue the conversation? And here's your book, Rise of the Black Quarterback, What It Means for America. All right, well, can you continue that conversation that Jalen and Patrick started to have, and not only what it means for America, but what does it mean for this game that this moment is happening?
Well, I mean, for this game, you've got the likely MVP, Patrick Mahomes, who's going to win it for the second time, the league MVP award. Jalen Hurts, who shut up a lot of people who said he couldn't be a quarterback in this league. Looks like he's a pretty decent quarterback. In fact, if Jalen had not, had the injury and missed those 2 late season games, like, I still think Patrick would have won the award, but Jalen and Patrick would be right there. And Jalen's going to probably finish in the top 3 to 5 in the voting anyway. So as far as this game, what you have is 2 of the best, not just young quarterbacks, not just black quarterbacks, but quarterbacks, period, in the NFL. Patrick is 27, Jalen is 24. But when you talk about the bigger societal and NFL question about this, as you guys know, anytime a barrier falls, anytime a hurdle is cleared, you celebrate it as the first time something has happened. And with having these 2 guys in this game, and not just the fact that they're starters and they're black, but they're elite quarterbacks in the NFL and they're both young, it shows that all black folk needed was an opportunity to rise up at those positions. And it's the same way in the country as well.
When you get to the top, the haters come out. Oh my God. J.A. Adande is here. We had a little technical difficulty. We'll work it out. Even if it's not synced up right now, on the visual side, we can all hear each other and we'll keep going. J.A., give a welcome to Keiana Williams, goes by Key, making her brother from another debut. And Key, you don't even know this. You are my people because you said you were able to articulate what I've been saying for a couple of weeks. I just wanted them to manhandle San Francisco. I couldn't wait for it. And before it happened, you told your audience, don't worry about it. Philadelphia is a superior team. So when do you think other folks like Julian Love, like Jerry Jones will catch up to what you already know, that Philadelphia has got it like that?
Honestly, I think it's just divisional rival denial. It's as simple as that. I mean, for Jerry Jones to compare the Eagles to the Rams, the Eagles have a homegrown team that they've given out friendly contracts to, still have plenty of draft capital. And then Julian saying anyone could coach the team, it's a hater comment. I'm sorry. I mean, you have to give Nick Sirianni credit where it's due. They've talked all year about how it's the system, but who implements the system? Coaches do that, So it just sounds like a lot of bias going around.
And by the way, I didn't, Jay, I didn't give out her publication. No, so we say Philadelphia Eagles. Like when the insiders, right? The people call it the Eagles. They call them the Eagles. So Eagles.com. So I'm sorry, just wanted to give you the proper intro. So Jay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
So I want to ask someone who does follow the Eagles closely, looking at it from the outside, as you go through the schedule, they ain't seen nothing quite like Mahomes in Kansas City, right? So a fantastic season thus far, but what can you point to as a signature victory? The one that really stands out and you can look at it and says, this shows what the Eagles are all about.
People might not think it means much because young quarterback, but I really do think it was that win over Pittsburgh, because before that, you would have performances where one side of the ball was more so dominant than the other. You had one game where the defense would show up, one game where the offense would show up. Pittsburgh game at home at the Link was one game where both units just absolutely obliterated Pittsburgh. That game was never in doubt. So I think that was defining. And that's ultimately what, caused them to keep rolling.
So you hang your hat on that. People want to, okay, how much should we believe in them? Because we haven't seen that much. You can hang your hat on that game against Pittsburgh. Say, watch the tape of that one.
I would say, the Eagles can't really control who they play. There's a lot of defining wins. I would even say the Tennessee win. I would say the first Minnesota win. I know that was a bit earlier on, but, they just play who's in front of them. And reality is they've destroyed almost every team they played in the trenches all year. That to me counts more than really defining a signature win, just more so pointing out how they're beating teams. And I think that's important.
But you know what? I think a signature win, you tell me. I think we just saw it. I know it wasn't against San Francisco, although I do hate, I'm going to say it again. I hate that Brock Purdy got hurt. Because it was coming. Okay, they were about to get it anyway. And so now we all have to pretend like that wasn't going to happen because Purdy got hurt. But nobody told Kyle Shanahan to block Hassan Reddick with a tight end. Ain't nobody tell you to do that. So I gotta apologize because of your blocking schemes and whack. Anyway, I think a signature win, I think, was against the Giants. Giants were coming off a big win against Minnesota. You play the Jets the third time playing a divisional opponent. They know you. They're respectable. They played you well in the last game of the regular season. And you obliterated that. You eviscerated that team. I think that was a signature win. What do you think, Key?
They dismantled the Giants on both sides of the ball. They ran the ball relentlessly. The Giants had no answer for it. Jalen Hurts didn't even have to really drop back and pass the ball a lot because the Eagles' offensive line and run blocking, which is very successful, then the D-line didn't give Daniel Jones or Saquon Barkley a chance. So that was definitely a signature, especially after a week of narratives hearing about how the Giants were the hot team and they were going to come into Philly and win. And we heard the fake narrative about how it's hard to beat a team 3 times. So it was definitely
fake
defining.
Narrative. Fake. You said, fake. Jay, she said fake. She said fake narrative.
Ooh. Fake narrative. So in those matchups, the home team generally wins the third game.
3 times in a row. That wasn't fake, right? The Eagles have, and I say with the E, forgive me, I'm not from Philadelphia, but the Eagles have an unmatched tradition of black quarterbacks. You go back to Randall Cunningham, Donovan McNabb, Michael Vick, now Jalen Hurts. Any particular reason? Can you point to a thread that connects this franchise with all these black quarterbacks, or is it just be like that sometimes?
I just think it's a coincidence and just how it worked out. I know when they drafted McNabb, they had a lot of ideas of him being the future. I think with Michael Vick, though, it was more so of a situation. He was McNabb's backup at the time, and he was the quarterback on the roster to succeed him. And Jalen Hurts was drafted with the intention to potentially back up Carson Wentz, but then became the guy. So one guy was drafted to be that guy. The other 2 guys, more so of a coincidence. Randall, you could also kind of say similar boat as 5.
And if I'm not mistaken, and I could be making this up, fact check me somebody. wasn't Rodney Peete there back in the day? Was he there as a backup?
He was initially a backup,
Yeah.
Yeah, with Rodney Peete
got some
was
run in there.
So
yeah.
There's another one. So
Yeah, so it goes back.
Yeah, it goes back, and I'm glad. And it's significant. There's something there because a lot. I mean, look at the rest of the league. It's not a coincidence if Philadelphia has it, and the rest of the league, historically, there are some franchises who have never had a black quarterback start a game. As a matter of fact, we can figure that out. We should figure out like how many franchises have never had a black quarterback start a game. Probably is a longer list than we think. But I want to ask you about this. A team that does have a black quarterback is your opponent, Key, coming up in the Super Bowl 57, and that's Patrick Mahomes, best quarterback in football. You agree with that, first of all, before
You're
I
not
go?
wrong.
You agree that
You're
he's the
not
best
wrong
quarterback
at
in
all,
football?
no.
Okay. I'm just checking. I want to see how deep the partisanship goes. They haven't the Eagles obviously haven't faced anybody like that all year. How do you think that matchup is going to play out in Arizona?
It's going to be very interesting because even though 2 weeks will have passed since the Chiefs last played, a high ankle sprain is a 4 to 6 week injury. Generally could be a month or 2, 3 months if it's not really handled correctly. So Patrick Mahomes is still going to be in probably a decent amount of pain come that time, which means if the Eagles can find some way to either spy him successfully or keep him in the pocket, there's a good chance they can get pressure on him and take him down. The Eagles have 4 guys on the D-line with 10 sacks or more, so this is going to be the best D-line the Chiefs have faced all year. It will absolutely be a challenge. I will say that, Chiefs got some wide receiver injuries, definitely makes the things a bit easier for their cornerbacks. The Eagles' biggest priority is just spying Mahomes and just keeping an eye on the middle of the field so Travis doesn't eat him up. But it's doable. They just have to keep him inside and not let him scramble.
Yeah, I'm a little torn on something because on one hand, if Mahomes wins, now he's got multiple, plural Super Bowl championships, and he ascends, and now we can really start having those conversations about where he ranks among the all-time greats, right? But if the Eagles and Jalen Hurts wins, it's another black quarterback who has won a Super Bowl, and Mahomes is so exceptional. This makes it more relatable, I think, right? Like you're not going to get another Mahomes, but you can find there's Jalen Hurts is out there to be found and had if you give them the chance, right? So for the culture, what would be a better victory between these two black quarterbacks?
This might sound a little bit biased, but I still have to say Jalen Hurts would be a better victory, only because not just being a black quarterback, but because of the adversity he went through in college, being benched, and then coming to Philly. You hear all about Carson Wentz. Jalen Hurts can't throw. This draft pick was a mistake. And then look what he does. He goes out there. He puts together a fantastic season, not just because of the roster, but because he took the leap and the extra steps to make that move. So to me, it's just as good of a story as Mahomes winning a second, if not better.
And in addition to that, a second-round pick brought in when Carson Wentz was seen as a franchise quarterback. And as recently as last year, there were some questions about Jalen Hurts. I know got to the playoffs and you lost to the Buccaneers, but there were people wondering, okay, is he the guy? Is he the guy? This year we find out if he's the guy. And this year, not only is he an MVP candidate, his head coach after a game compares him to Michael Jordan, J.A. Adande, drops the MJ reference. So all that being said, Key, before we let you go, don't just give us a prediction. Tell us how the game's gonna go. Just give me sometimes maybe you see the game already. You see the game play out in your head and you know who's gonna win and how. So share it with us.
So in my mind and how I've thought about it multiple times is that the Eagles dominate on both sides of the ball with the offensive and defensive lines. Chris Jones, he's really good. He's really talented. Has not seen an offensive line like the Eagles all year. Eagles have been able to shut down very good defensive ends and defensive tackles this year. Also see on the other side of the spectrum, Eagles D-line relentless, going to get through to that Chiefs offensive line. I have it as a 28-21 win. I just think that the Eagles' trenches are going to be too much, and they're going to be able to run the ball all over Kansas City.
My only problem
you're right. We're so obsessed with the quarterbacks, but I think you're right. This is about what happens up front.
You know what, J.A. and Key, my only problem is with what Key just said is the score. I mean, if they're going to do all that, 28-21 should make you nervous. If they're going to do all that, it should be 35. It should be 37-21, 38-21. All these things, they got all these advantages. Why don't they win by a touchdown? Late touchdown. They're up 28-14. Chiefs score with about 47 seconds to play. Go for an onside kick. They don't get it. And the game appears to be closer than it is. Is that how? Because otherwise, it shouldn't be that close.
It'll be close because, like you said earlier, the Eagles have not seen a quarterback like Mahomes all year. Even with that high ankle sprain, he's still going to be very good, and he's still going to give them every chance to win. I'm not really as concerned about the wide receivers, just as more so him making Houdini plays. And I have a running joke where every time I say the Eagles aren't going to blow a team out, they end up blowing a team out. So here's hoping.
Okay. All right. Well, Key, hey, thanks for joining us here. It's been a great debut. You always have an open invitation to return to brother from another, and we'll see how it turns out. So far, you've been pretty prophetic. Your predictions been I read it after the fact, like, oh, she was right on the money. Right on. You called the San Francisco game. All people had to do was read your work. They would have known what would have happened in the game.
Yeah, definitely. I'm very confident about this Super Bowl for sure. Thank you so much for having me too.
Oh, we feel it. We feel the confidence. All right. See you later. All right. We talked about it off the top. Let's go back to it. Kyrie Irving, before the season, wanted a trade from Brooklyn. He wanted out. And then he made news. You remember, he made news. He said, well, I'm going to do the courageous thing. I'm going to opt in to my, $34, $35, $40 million contract. I'm going to opt in. I'm staying in Brooklyn. Same thing, Kevin Durant. Before the season, Kevin Durant said, I want out. And then he wanted back in. So, hey, look, Nat, they were doing fine. They were playing well. It's funny. I'm glad. So you're there with me. I think we're both Nets haters for different reasons. Okay, it's just like full disclosure. We're both haters.
Not a Nets hater.
You're a KD hater. You're a KD hater a little bit. Not to say you KD. You hate on KD a little bit. A little bit.
I am not as high on KD as others. That doesn't make me a hater.
Okay. All right. So it's just funny though. It's funny that we're back here. And damn it, let's find, where's Michael Smith? I want him to zoom in. I want to call Michael Smith. Because he's the opposite, J.A., of what we are. He's the opposite. Oh, he was all about the Nets. Oh, what is this historic offense when they had it all together. Remember, once upon a time they had, I don't know, it was the old days, they had Kyrie Irving, James Harden, and Kevin Durant. And they were just going to set the NBA on fire. They're going to be unbelievable. They're going to win multiple championships. They might score 150 points a game. Oh, the offensive rating. And what they won was one playoff series. Oh my God. I love it so much. Anyway.
And all we can hear about was Matt,
so homeboy wants to be traded. What do you make of this trade request from Kyrie?
I mean, it's hilarious to me. And I feel like if you followed Kyrie and just his journey throughout his NBA career, I don't think it really shocks anybody. It's amazing to me how remarkable it is that he has the ability to just pull these things that, like, the timing just is always, I guess at any point Kyrie Irving requests a trade, it's going to be news. But I mean, when he did it back in Cleveland, it was like everyone thought everything was fine. And all of a sudden out of the blue, Kyrie Irving wants to trade. And then now, I mean, I don't think that we thought everything is fine, but the Nets were playing relatively well. Yes, KD did go down, but they looked like maybe they could at least contend this year. And then boom.
Because Kyrie was holding it down, right? It's not just like, oh, they're hanging in. Like, Kyrie was keeping them in it, especially with his fourth quarter play. And then, boom.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't know. He's an interesting character, but look, it makes fun for NBA Twitter talk and the news cycle. So I'm not going to be upset at that.
Yeah, he does.
Is it fun or is it redundant at this point? I mean, do you enjoy each twist and turn of the Kyrie saga, or does it get old to you?
So Nat, the producer, one of the producers for this show, who has to just change things on the drop of a dime. No, I don't love it. But as Nat, who participates in NBA Twitter, I absolutely loved it. I think I tweeted out right away that, oh, great, Lakers fans going to be thirsty all over the timeline now, coming up with trade proposals, you know, for Kyrie. And like a big Lakers account replied to me, like, Warriors fans doing the same thing. Because I mean, the theories are already flying. If Kyrie gets traded, then that leaves room for KD to come back to the Warriors. So it's all kinds of stuff going on. That's NBA Twitter dreaming, but there have been some more reports that have come out already with the teams that are interested.
No, that's a good point. Now, I know. Let's speculate. This is the fun part, and I'll answer your question, Jay. It's fun just to talk about. I mean, it's just to understand or trying to figure out the psyche, the methodology of Kyrie is entertaining to me. And before I make the point of why it's so fun, I just want to point out that Kyrie is a brutal breakup artist. All right, you started saying it, Nat. Told Cleveland, just boom, I'm done. And he asked for a trade, according to David Griffin, their former general manager, he asked for a trade after they won their championship. So they had this great comeback against the Warriors, and he asked to be traded after that. And Griffin said, no, hold on. No, and then he had asked. Griffin wasn't surprised that he asked to be traded because that wasn't his first trade request. He had mentioned that earlier.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying.
So after they won,
wasn't reported. That wasn't reported, Michael.
Yeah, it wasn't reported until Griffin started talking about it. Griffin started, sharing some of his insights with Kyrie. Griffin started sharing a lot of stuff that even LeBron was upset. Remember this? He was talking about LeBron. And LeBron was like, oh, man, I heard what you said about me. I didn't appreciate that. So when Griffin left Cleveland, he started sharing some info that was helpful to us, but not necessarily to the people who played on the team. So break up with Cleveland, pretty harsh. Break up with the Celtics at the altar. Okay, after the engagement. After the engagement, he put a ring on it, said, we got a date. We go do this in front of the family and everything. He said, yes, if you have me, I'll come back. Then he was like, no, I'm going to Brooklyn. Brutal. And now, Brooklyn, right before the All-Star break, I made the All-Star team just to show you what I'm about. I'm out. But anyway, do you think is it two parts? Is it not just Kyrie being traded, but if Kyrie's gone, do they move on from KD, Nat and Jay?
I mean, that's a interesting question. Kevin Durant still wants to compete for championships. And I don't see what they're going to get back in a trade. I mean, we would have to see, but that's really going to be able to help them. So one would have to imagine he's going to want to be traded, but I really truly don't know right now. I think it's too early to tell. I think it's going to depend on what they can potentially get back for Kyrie. And it's going to be limited because he can be, he can walk in free agency.
Here's the thing. I think that's an excellent point, Michael, that, does it mean KD comes on the market? So if you think, or if you even know that this means KD is coming on the market, then why would you use your assets on Kyrie when you can save them to get a trade for Kevin Durant? I'd much rather have Kevin Durant. So I think that this looming potential Kevin Durant hitting the market, I think makes the trade market for Kyrie even worse and lowers the leverage even more than it probably is right now.
Excellent point. Excellent point. It really is. And I'm wondering, let's say it is the Lakers. And we know the Lakers, speaking of limited, their resources are extremely limited. They were able to pick up Hachimura, who's a good addition for them. I'll give it to him. He can shoot. They don't have a lot of guys with great outside shooting. But if you're the Lakers, would you be interested? If you're the Lakers, would you be interested in adding Kyrie Irving to a team that's starting to play a little bit better? I mean, they're not great, but they're starting to play a little bit better lately. Would you guys be interested from the Lakers' perspective?
I wouldn't be interested personally, but yes, the Lakers, to answer your question.
I'm saying, but if you're the Lakers, you think the Lakers would? You think the Lakers would?
I think the Lakers would be interested. I mean, LeBron has already said things that, like, he still wants to compete, right? Like, he's not just here to like just be on a team. So he's played with Kyrie before. They've won together, and maybe he thinks with him there, Kyrie can be managed better. I'm not sure, but I certainly think the Lakers will try something to try to go after him.
The question is, do you feel, and this has been floating out there on NBA Twitter, as you know, do the Lakers go all in on this season, or is it better to maybe preserve some assets and make a better move next year, potentially when they're in better position, when they're not, trying to chase a play-in spot as they are right now?
So, to me, the thing that's very interesting about the NBA standings right now is like 3 through like 12, 13, they're like 1 to 2 games apart. So like truthfully, if they start winning now, they could still be like a 4th seed and have like a real spot. So I don't think this season's lost. Like just across the board, the team, it's like a mid NBA season. And by mid, I just mean people kind of meddling around like 500. So it's one of those seasons where I do think you could maybe have the potential, even though it would not be like consistent with NBA history, for a team that's kind of started off the way the Lakers did to maybe come back and do something. I don't think they do it with this roster, but like if you added someone like a Kyrie, yeah, I think they could make that kind of push. And by the way, it should be noted that I am not a Lakers fan. I'm not a Lakers fan. So be clear when I say that. I'm a Warriors fan. Okay.
I'm just saying, Michael, remember when things used to be called parity? Now everything's mid. Why does everything got to be mid now? Like everything mid.
I mean, it is mid.
The NFL used to celebrate this and call it parity. And it was Pete Rozell's dream that there would be parity. Now it's just mid.
No, but this isn't parity. If all the teams were like winning at a higher level, I mean, like everyone's around 500. At least like that's not good basketball. Like you win, you lose, you win, you lose. So that's why I'm saying it's mid. But yeah, I do also think there's more parity. So, I think both things are true, but that's why I'm saying it's mid.
I want to go from like, either or, straddling the fence, 500, could go this way, that way, to something that's definitive. And Natalie, thank me later. I'm going to throw this oop up and let you just do whatever you want to do with it. You can dunk it. It's just a oop. No look. Your thoughts on Dillon Brooks last night?
No, see, you're trying to get me riled up in front of company, Michael. I'm not going to take the bait. I mean,
this family. This is family. Adande's family. He ain't company. He ain't knock on the door and we ain't like peer through. Like, who is it? He was just like, he tried to come in. He walked in. It's fine. Look at your boy,
picture.
Dillon Brooks.
Oh, my boy. Oh my gosh. I just cannot wait for the Grizzlies to lose. That's all I have to say, because now they apparently got 2 All-Stars. JJJ, Jaren Jackson Jr. is an All-Star. So I don't want any excuses when they inevitably lose, because there's a bunch of players over there. They just talk. And no, I'm not against talking. I'm not against that. But they talk too much for a team that has done absolutely nothing. And they're goofy. He's goofy. Wow. That was goofy. And it's unfortunate that, he did it to Donovan Mitchell, who can't really react because his team needs him. But if this was like back in the days, when we had players that could like really enforce something, because someone needs to just, do something to Dillon Brooks.
But he did react in the post game, and we're learning things about Donovan Mitchell. So prior to this season, I didn't know, or maybe didn't believe, that he could be a superstar guy who can get you deeper in the playoffs and maybe your team has a right to go. He's shown he can be that guy, at least so far this year. And now he's shown he can be spicy guy with the comments. Like, I haven't heard him stir it up like this, the way he was talking about Dillon Brooks last night, talking about, bust his ass as usual, so
I loved it.
Right.
This has been the Donovan Mitchell revelation season, the tour, as far as I'm concerned. What do you?
You're so right.
Are you surprised to see him go?
And
there?
I agree. But I agree with him. The thing he said was, it's unfortunate that Brooks has to do that when he can't guard, when he can't check somebody. This is what he resorts to, and that is so true. That's exactly right. Like, you wouldn't mind a guy who was like a physical player, but is a tough, like, they guard you well and you respect them. But his thing is, if he can't keep up with you, he'll do some dirty shit.
That's what he always does. And he's not the only one. I mean, Brooks, Pat Bev is another one like that. Like, the media loves to hype these guys up like they're actually good defenders, and they're not. They just like annoy you. They do a lot of things that should be called fouls. They make noises and, and then people are like, yeah, they're a good defender. And they're not. Brooks sucks. He gets cooked all the time. And also, I love, though, like in your feed, Michael, you said he's a dirty player. Like, do you think he's a dirty player? Let me ask that question, because NBA players and everyone's so careful, like they don't want to call it dirty. So even last year when he had the play on Gary Payton Jr., right? Or the second, sorry. And it injured him. Like, the Warriors went very carefully to call him everything but dirty, but like they were suggesting he's dirty. And I'm like, he's absolutely a dirty player. And I want to know what you think. Do you think he's a dirty player?
Yeah, you know what? And I'll tell you, like, Nat and J.A., this is like one of these wordsmith things. I struggle with this for like, I went back and forth on the feed for like 20 minutes. The first thing I wrote was, make no mistake, Dillon Brooks is a dirty player. Then I said, well, can I really say he's a dirty player? He plays dirty. I'll say he plays dirty. Calling him a dirty player means all that. But I think I and others just overthink it. Yeah, he's a dirty player. I should have put that. I'm going to change it right now on the fly. He's a dirty player. Back to that. He is. And until he stops being a dirty player, like, you know how you have that reputation for a reason. It's not like people are just, are we looking for that? What do basketball fans want? Basketball fans want to see ballers and skill and athleticism and competitiveness. We ain't trying to call you a dirty player, but if you give us reason, we got to call it what it is, and that's what it is. J.A., is that how you see it?
I just don't like to look into the heart or mind of another person or soul.
See,
for that matter.
See, you're doing the same thing I'm doing. Same thing.
If you're saying dirty, you're getting into the realm of intent. And that's something that I'm not comfortable doing. I remember, for example, Bruce Bowen. People used to say, oh, Bruce Bowen's a dirty player. And one game I was sitting basically under the basket at Staples Center, and I'm just watching him, and he was very hands-on. I would use that phrase, he had very active hands, constantly poking, checking you, grabbing you away from the ball. So you can say that.
But he ain't trying to hurt people.
Bowen dirty.
I wouldn't either.
Calling Dillon Brooks
he wasn't
dirty.
trying to. Dillon Brooks is trying to hurt people.
If your behavior is so reckless that it like leads to stuff like that, and you keep up with the reckless behavior, to me, that's intent. Because like you can't keep doing it. And then I just keep saying, oh, but he didn't intend it. If you keep up the same reckless behavior, you intend it.
Exactly. I don't care about intent. If every time somebody comes around and they're just like a wrecking ball, like, oh, I didn't mean to. I don't care what you meant to do. You keep doing it. So that's who you are. You got to deal with, I can only deal with what you are producing, not what your intent is. Everybody thinks their intent is righteous, or a lot of people think that it is, and it's not necessarily. Real quick before we get to comments, Natalie, I love this. I'm intrigued. WNBA story. I'm telling you, I'm close to New York. I can get there. I love New York anyway. I can get there in a few hours. New York Liberty. I will be checking out some Liberty games.
My Liberty shirt.
That team is stacked. That team is stacked, Natalie.
Super teams.
I saw a headline like, are super teams good for the WNBA? Yes. I didn't read the story. Yes. Like, how are you going to ask that question? Yes. So, I mean, the Liberty, they got everybody. And I know, Candace is going to the Aces, and that's great. They got a nice little team too, but
no, not a nice little team.
I can't.
No.
They got a squad. What you talking about?
The Liberty.
Then the Liberty.
No, they're not. Oh,
the Liberty the Liberty had. Yes. Are you crazy, Asia? Asia's on that team. Let's not forget.
Okay.
Because y'all talk about Stewie and act like it's not Asia. I'm sorry, Jay. I cut you off.
Yeah, Kelsey Plummer, right? Candace, all that.
Okay.
I mean, what
how
are we
about
doing?
They just picked up Vandersloot. They got Ionescu. I mean, they got a squad too.
Yeah,
and
John Stewart. It's two stacked teams.
I like it. Liberty gonna win a championship though. I'm just telling you right now. They're gonna win the whole thing. They're gonna win the whole thing, and I'm gonna be there to see the title.
Gray. I mean, you're forgetting some players.
I know, but they're gonna win the championship. Give me some comments. I need some comments before I go into the weekend.
All right, let's see. We had I don't think you were here that day. We had a conversation, of course. Marcus was on, and Mike wanted to bring up the GOAT conversation with LeBron, with him getting close to, passing the record. And he asked both Marcus Thompson, if, this changes anything for us in terms of, where we rank LeBron. And both Marcus and I said, no, absolutely not. The comments did not like that. They said us old folks are haters. And, what we don't understand is blah, 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 blah. And I understand everything. And like the point that
I love the commenters.
The point that they were getting at, my point was simply
y'all.
Why are we praising someone for doing something? Let me take that back. He deserves all the praise. But when you're talking about the GOAT, he is not greater to me than MJ because he is going to pass Kareem's scoring, record. Like if Kareem isn't the GOAT for that, which obviously Kareem still has the case, but if he's not the definitive GOAT for that, that's not going to make LeBron the definitive GOAT when it's taken him much longer to receive all his accolades than Michael Jordan his. So it's better to me if you get it done in a quicker amount of time, that's better. And that's it. And so they got upset at my longevity argument. I didn't post more comments because, the men don't like when women talk about basketball. So some of them weren't so pleasant for the screen.
We don't care. We're going to talk about it then. They don't like it. We're going to talk about it more. As a matter of fact, we're doing an extra segment. We're doing an extra segment after this. We're going to talk about it.
Here's what finalizes it, Michael, though. The calendar. Have you noticed some people are calling this MJ Day because it's 2/3/23?
Yes.
That means Michael owns this day. They're not calling it LeBron Day.
Yes.
So it's MJ Day. LeBron will never have the number. He might have all the records when it's said and done. He might win 7 championships. Who knows? He will never have a number. He will never have a day on the calendar that he owns the way Michael Jordan has today, 2/3/23. Right?
Okay.
And you can say 23 or 6. Yeah. 6 is being retired for Bill Russell, not for LeBron. And 23 belongs to MJ.
The GOAT.
Okay, see, in football, they say move the goalpost. Y'all doing that thing they did in Denver. Denver, they can't get the height of the rim right. Y'all keep changing. You keep changing the height of the rim. Okay, so now LeBron doesn't have the number like MJ does. Like MJ in his time, somebody else was probably described as the GOAT, and now that we're away from him, we call him the best after retirement. With history will be on the side of LeBron.
Hey,
I'm gonna keep going.
No one else had number 23.
Y'all hang around.
No one else had 23. That's MJ's. 2-3.
Oh, I'm upset now.
Unless he's wearing the 4 or 5.
I'm upset. All right, sometimes our brother from another, we got to do a bonus section. We run out of time. And I got 2 people here who are just not giving LeBron his due. So I just want to know what's up. Give the man his credit. Give him his flowers right now. You're going to deny his all-time greatness. You're going to deny his potential GOATness.
His GOATness. Conversation. You setting it up to get us killed in the comments. No one is denying his greatness. Go ahead, Jay.
No one is. And Michael, here's your floral arrangement, okay? It still astounds me that he's going to end up with more points than Kareem and more assists than Magic. And this is someone who grew up, who was raised on watching those guys become the best at what they did in their categories, right? Magic, the best passer, Kareem, the best scorer. And LeBron's going to outdo both of them in their areas. That's phenomenal to me. But he don't have a day of the calendar. He doesn't have a number, right? And like, he also doesn't have a team. When we look at LeBron, is he a Laker? Is he a Heat?
Ouch. He's a Cavalier. I mean, like Jordan was a Wizard. Jordan was a Wizard, right? I mean, he shouldn't have been. Chicago never should have let it come to that. Shame on you, Jerry Krause.
Nobody says Michael Jordan the Wizard.
He was a Wizard. No, he's not a. No, MJ's a Bull, right? He is the Bull. He is the Bull. He's the logo. He's everything. He's Chicago Stadium.
That's the thing.
He's United Center. He's everything.
You could argue LeBron's the greatest player to play for 2 franchises, right? But the Heat are still more Dwayne Wade than LeBron, right?
Yes, they are.
Interesting.
Okay. Yes, they are. That's Wade County. Of course it is.
All right. So what? So Natalie, tell me this. Tell me this. This is what I want to get to. Is it just blocked? You know, like certain areas are just blocked. You can't get there. No matter what you do, there's no access. There's no access to this GOAT land. It's all it's Michael. It's Michael all by himself, and nobody can ever get there. Or is there something you can do? Is there a calculus?
No, LeBron can't.
Is there some path? Okay, LeBron can't, no matter what he does.
No.
So if
someone else can.
So if he plays 3 more years, why not? Why can't he get there? That's what I want to know. Why not?
Okay, so, and I'm going to say this again because I already know. I am known, like at least I'm not known, but on NBA Twitter, people think I am a LeBron hater. So they just, in the comments, that's all you saw. Oh, you know, Natalie hates LeBron. I don't hate the man. I don't see why I have to talk about him because everybody else does. So me not talking about him and praising him is really not going to do anything. But that being said, when we're talking about the GOAT, all of the guys who are in potential for that conversation are great. They are amazing. So now you're looking at, okay, what makes one better than the other? And when I said his case is largely based on longevity and these counting stats that he's accumulated over time, he wasn't going to get the rings to pass MJ. He doesn't have the defensive teams. Like, come on. And MJ did that in a shorter period of time. It was pure dominance during his era. All the things that, you know, people weren't like winning while he was there. Like all the things that we know have heard. That is better. You're never going to sell me that someone who took several more years longer to do it is better than the person that did it in a shorter time and dominated. LeBron is playing longer, and to play at a high level is something we should absolutely acknowledge and applaud. But because he played longer and has the ability to accumulate all these stats, right? Magic's career ended shorter in a short time. We know that. So of course, over time, he's accumulated more assists than Magic, but I'm not gonna say he's a greater passer or better than you know, like that's what I'm saying. Like that doesn't mean you're better. It means like you played longer and you were able to accumulate more assists. So you're playing for a very long time. You're gonna score more points. Great, let's applaud it. You're doing it at a high level. Your team also at this stage is not in contention for anything. So why am I praising that? Like I'm praising your play, but your team, you're not even in contention for anything. And so that's the way that I look at it. You know, he's great. He's one of the greatest players of all time. He is up there, and that's it. You're not getting a GOAT.
How high up there? How high up there?
He's up there. We can say where I rank him for another
Top
day.
5?
What I will say is this.
Is he your all-time? Is he in your all-time starting 5?
Yes, but he is not an automatic the second one. That I never accepted. It's not just a MJ LeBron conversation, and I hate that people do that.
Okay.
And so one good thing about him getting ready to pass Kareem is that it's brought Kareem back into the chat, right? Like you can't talk about this moment without celebrating how great Kareem was and without reminding people how great the captain was in his day.
Yeah, you know, I'll just say, you know, Kareem played for 20 years. There are a lot of people who played for a long time and they're not in position to be the #1 scorer in the history of basketball, a record that has stood for nearly 40 years. So think about this. He's going to be the #1 scorer. He's going to be the #1 scorer. He just passed Steve Nash, a great point guard. He just passed Mark Jackson, an underrated and I'm going to say borderline great point guard too, on assists. So over 10,000 assists. He's going to be the #1 scorer. He's up there in rebounds. He's got championships with 2 different franchises.
3 different franchises.
Hey.
That's another thing I don't understand. Why are you greater for hopping around?
Oh, that's right.
I will say this.
I wiped out the bubble. I wiped out the bubble.
Yeah, no, but
it's an unprecedented story, though. When you think about
teams, the moment
but to me, that actually enhances the argument. I think one of the cases for LeBron is that it's unmatched, really, in sports. The fact that you go to Miami, they become the best team in the Eastern Conference and win 2 championships. All you do when you're there is go to the finals, go back to Cleveland, win a championship for a city that hasn't tasted anything close to success in half a century. And then you go to the storied franchise of the Lakers and restore them to a championship too. That's an unmatched narrative.
No, it's a silly narrative. I'm sorry. Like, I completely reject that narrative.
Me?
So hold on. First of all,
is it silly now?
Okay. I'm about to tell you. First of all, they won in the bubble, and they haven't done anything else in the other years. So restored, talk to Lakers fans about how they feel about LeBron and the great, like, because you think I'm just being a hater. Talk to actual Lakers fans, not the LeBron stans who are his fans only. Talk to actual Lakers fans and see how they feel about that championship and how they feel about what he's doing for their franchise. He hasn't restored anything. That's first. Secondly, yes, I thought it was great when he went back to Cleveland. I actually said, you know what? That's dope. Let me try to look at this man in a new light, because he drives me crazy. He really does, right? But then he leaves again the moment shit gets tough in Cleveland. He leaves, right? Why did he
still
leave?
love him, but talk to them, though. Talk to them. They love him. Just like you said, talk to Lakers fans. They still love him.
Because there's this false argument people make for LeBron. Oh, he's never had the coaches other players had. He's never been. The Heat is a model organization. They are a model organization, right? Tim Duncan stayed with the Spurs through several iterations. Stephen Curry right now went through 2 years of all kinds of freaking injuries with the Warriors, then came back. Why is the person who leaves and jumps to another organization that gets it tailor-made for him, why is it something to applaud him for and build him up and say, well, he did it with 3 other orgs? Do we think Tim Duncan and Steph Curry and all the other great players, if they didn't jump and leave, could go do that? Kawhi did it. He left the Spurs and then he went to Toronto and he won. These are great players. Great players will do that. But if you stay and you keep going through all the different iterations of the team, the things that you don't always have control over and still keep winning, that is greater. So the fact that those players opted not to do that, I'm not going to celebrate LeBron more because he upped and leave every time he didn't like the circumstances. No, I do not support that narrative at all. Reject it. Sorry.
So I'm not as into loyalty as I once was, but particularly because the franchise can cut you when things go bad too. And the fact that, well, we're not going to say Cleveland is a model organization, right?
No,
so
I'm just talking about the Heat.
No.
Right. The Heat are, and the Lakers, as presently constructed, haven't been a model organization since the passing of Jerry Buss, the greatest owner in the history of professional sports. So the fact that he could make 2 different organizations who, well, one wasn't currently equipped. One had a great history of winning. And then the other one had no history of winning. And he turned both of them in championship. But it's funny. Natalie brings up the point about the bubble. That's why I kind of didn't want LeBron to win that year, because if he win, I knew it would forever be asterisked.
Listen. Hey, okay.
And the further we get out from it, the more asterisk worthy it looks, right? Like, could they have won without him getting a nice 2-month reset, right? You have to ask that question based on what we've seen.
Him and AD have not been able to remain healthy. They have not been able to remain healthy for a full season. So if they did not get that break, would they have gone and won? And
That's
also,
that was
the season. Stephen Curry was out. Kevin Durant was out. Any person who could possibly challenge him was out that season. Come on.
But I would say this. Come on.
It's a chip.
Like, I'm going to go back. I'm going to go back. No, look, it's a pandemic. It's a pandemic. We couldn't control it. Nobody could control what happened during the pandemic.
Absolutely.
So the league wanted to keep going. If they didn't want to have a tournament, they didn't want to have an asterisk, they should have shut it down, but they didn't. But I want to say this, as somebody who lives in Boston, and you know who Lakers fans hate more than anybody, the Celtics. And so this whole organizations, and Jay, you know I'm right on this, organizations, they count their titles. If that title doesn't count, Lakers fans, well then stop counting. Then the Celtics are ahead of you. So if you want to put an asterisk on that, dismiss that one. But you ain't going to do that. So it's you can't have it both ways. Either the title is legitimate and you're tied with the Celtics in all-time championships, or the title is fraudulent, and now the Celtics are 1 ahead of you. But I know what Lakers fans will do on that. But here's the other thing. Let me go back. Something you said about leaving. LeBron James, got to a Cleveland Cavaliers team that had never been to the finals. He was 18 years old. They had never even appeared in the NBA finals. And he took them to the finals. One of the worst teams I've seen.
I don't
get to the
condemn
finals,
him for
dragging
that.
there. Okay, so he left after 7 years. He's 25 years old. He's MVP. He's got options. He leaves. He goes to Miami. 4 years, 4 straight finals, back-to-back, and right in the middle, bookended by finals losses, back-to-back. He leaves. You condemn him for that?
Yes, because he
Leaving
left
Miami.
because
Why?
he saw the writing on the wall. Dwayne Wade.
Yes. Hey, coaches do that. Coaches do that. Players, GMs do that.
Hold on. I'm not saying there's any issue with him leaving. Like, people should feel free to leave wherever they want to go. What I'm saying is I'm not going to then praise him and say, oh, he went here, here, and here, and so he's greater for that, because other people chose not to do that and stay. Like, you're praising him for something that others did not have the option or ability to do or didn't. So, like, it's not greater that he went and did that. He bailed because he's like, all right.
Not greater. Not necessarily greater, but it's different. He chose a different path. Some people wouldn't.
It's unique.
Some people
but
wouldn't do that.
It's not something that makes you like a GOAT for it. Like, no, like that's like, okay, you won. Any great player could do that. Any great player could do that.
Maybe he's a GOAT because he's about to be the #1 scorer. Bring it all the way back. #1 scorer. He's going to be up there at assists. He may win another championship or two. And he's elite.
You don't believe that. You don't believe
at the age of, I don't know. I don't believe that. No, you're right. I don't. But he's elite. He's elite at age 38. Elite. Not just, very good. Not like
he's not a great defensive
an
player
all-star
anymore.
reserve. Nobody has been this great at this age.
And let's celebrate that. Let's celebrate that.
You know what I thought the reward for that was? When being the leading vote getter in the conference for the All-Star, like, when that happened, I'm like, you know what? That's a nice token of appreciation for this season, because he shouldn't be the MVP, but we should acknowledge what he's doing at this age.
You know what?
It's acknowledged daily. It's acknowledged daily. I don't know how much more acknowledgement you guys want.
I love it.
Well, I like that official certification. The fact that he was the leading vote getter for the All-Star game at this stage in his career, I thought was a nice certification and appreciation.
I'm going to tell you guys,
we do need to certify these things, right? We don't need to just tweet about it. We do need some sort of official stamp on it.
This is why I love you both. We've been talking about this for 15 minutes. We have not resolved anything. We have not moved off of our positions. And that's what it's all about. I'd be disappointed if somebody changed their position coming into this, after this argument. So, good to see you guys.
You too.
Until the next time.
So nice
Until the next time.
Right.
We haven't talked before. It's nice
y'all never met? That's even better.
No, Mike, you got me debuting with all kinds of folks today. Once we got,
I didn't know that.
And then the one guy I knew, Jason Reed, like, we didn't get to finish our conversation with him. Jason and I go way
So
back.
we got to talk to him. So we got to reconnect with Jason Reed, and we have to revisit the GOAT conversation. LeBron James or Michael Jordan or Kareem. How about Kareem? Give Kareem some love.
I can make the case for Kareem.
We all can. I see y'all.
6 championships, 6 MVPs. Lost 1 game in college.
There you go.
Hey, thank you for watching Brother from Another. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, go ahead and do that now. Don't forget, you can catch us 3 to 4 weekdays on PeacockTV.com and on Sirius XM Channel 85.